So I said this morning, one of the things I said was that we're watching the mind. It's the practice of watching the mind. And through that, through the mind, we know what's happening in the different sense spheres or sense fields. So that's what we'll be exploring a bit this afternoon through the two shortish meditations. And this evening we'll dedicate the retreat. We'll do, generally in the evenings, we'll have some rituals, maybe just be very simple, maybe a reading and a mantra in the context of a meditation, or it may be a slightly more fulsome ritual. But tonight we'll do the dedication ceremony and chant and meditate. I shall turn you towards the shrine. Just sitting in quite a natural way. Sitting without a particular agenda. And as if you had all the time in the world. Time to gradually come to yourself, to inhabit your own being. Settling back. Both in the body and resting back in the mind as well. And while your attention might go towards any of the senses, let yourself perhaps anchor in physical sensations, tactile sensations of the body. And you might notice yourself becoming more embodied, however that manifests itself to you. Perhaps giving your weight to whatever you're sitting on, lying down on. Perhaps a feeling into, in a more subtle way, a part of your body. Perhaps the spine, or your hands. Or perhaps movement within your chest, ribs, belly. The breath moving the body. And within this process of settling, which might be something like letting grains of sand run through your hands. Unique sensations. Within that, notice any areas of holding. Perhaps in the breath or the legs. And without trying to do anything, through the quality of the awareness, sometimes letting go happens. Release happens within the body, within the mind. And just feeling out any moments of release. Feeling out with a quality of awareness. That's relaxed and attentive. Sensations happening, and the knowing of them, the awareness of them is also happening. And without losing connection with this process of embodiment, inhabiting sensations, the body. Notice that sounds are occurring. Sounds in the environment. Sounds through the tech that connects us. And sounds in our own bodies. And depending on the environment that you're in, there may also be silence, sounds and silence. The experience of silence. And check out the quality of effort or energy you're using around hearing, taking in of sounds. Sometimes there might be a more active listening, homing in on particular sound. At other times, there might be a more receptive hearing. Receiving sound. And see if you can notice the difference in your experience. If there's a repetitive sound in your environment, can you notice the mind reaching out towards it or anticipating the next time it'll come? So not only is there sound, there's also reaching, and how that feels in the body or the mind, or anticipating. These two can be felt into and recognized. Different mind objects. Remembering to relax back into knowing. Knowing sound, or knowing body sensation. Notice how much attention you put with the label, the concept of what is being known. The stiff knee, the car going by, or the dog barking. And how much you can rest back, simply knowing the raw data, the bare experience, sound, sensation. And just before the practice ends, Let's take a minute to pause and ask yourself, what did you notice? What were you interested in? What caught your attention? So just pausing for a moment, but we're going to go pretty much straight into the next little exercise. But for this exercise, keep your eyes open. Let the eyes be soft. Perhaps your gaze lowered a little. Really relaxing the eyes, relaxing the gaze. Perhaps becoming more aware of your peripheral vision through that relaxation. Keep in touch with that sense of embodiment, settling back. Let the eyes settle back. So seeing is happening. Imagining the eyes just settled back further into the head. Perhaps even think of seeing through the whole body. How much energy does it take for seeing to happen? For visual objects to be known? If we're present, it happens automatically. With the working eye organ, present moment awareness. Exploring the difference between looking and seeing. Try looking at something and see how long you can sustain it. How long before the attention naturally wants to move elsewhere. Practice this without strain, force. With curiosity and playfulness. Noticing the labeling that happens automatically when perception is doing its work. And keep remembering to settle back into present moment awareness. Giving more weight to the direct experience rather than the labels. Keep on relaxing into the visual sense. Relax into knowing hearing and tactile body sensations. Allowing a whole world of sensations to be known, moment by moment. And including the mind sense, as well as the physical senses. The feel of the mind in this moment. Knowing a thought as it occurs. Knowing perception as it labels experience. Recognizing awareness aspect of the mind. And feeling into the quality of awareness. And taking a pause before the practice ends. Is there anything that's caught your interest? Anything you felt particularly attentive of? So we have a few minutes before the end of this session. If there's anyone who would like to say anything about something that caught their interest, something that struck you about your experience in that practice. So you can do the thing with the electronic hand or unmute. That's the idea. Eric, yes, I see your hand.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, I find it very difficult to keep my eyes from being closed. I'm so conditioned, I think, to have closed eyes if I'm meditating. But I tried to keep them open and then had to turn away. I couldn't have eyes partly open and have a screen in front of me. I started looking at things, doing my Zoom thing, seeing if people were muted or whatever. So I had to turn away. And
yeah, that makes sense. It would make sense that it would feel awkward to be looking at the screen. It's quite a even though we're all still, there's a lot that can draw your attention in. Yes, you do feel free to practice that. You know, perhaps just turn the screen away from you, or turn your gaze on something else. Yeah, and if it's difficult, I can understand that when we have the habit of having eyes shut in meditation. So you might just do it for a few minutes and really notice that the urge to close the eyes. You know, notice maybe there's some heaviness, some tightness around the eyes. So we don't want to get into sort of forcing or straining to keep the eyes open. But it's a really useful practice, and we do it because for most of us, that's what we're doing all the time. Obviously, not everyone, but that's you know, unless we're asleep, most of us, that's our dominant sense. So it's important to get a handle on it, really, with awareness.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Anyone else? Dhamavantana.
I was interested in what Eric said about the eyes, because I decided at about 3/4 of the way through that I would close my eyes, and I just noticed there was absolutely no pulling at all, and because of the stuff that comes across, you know, swirling, maybe blue, and then maybe and it was very, very, very pleasant. But then there was a sensation of I didn't want to open my eyes and go back to the, you know, follow your instructions. So there was a bit of awareness that I had a preference, and but I was quite surprised that there was quite a difference between, because there's lots of movement with the eyes closed, lots of change. And it was quite fast, but it was less, I don't know, there was an ease, yes, an ease, you know, and it wasn't the other was difficult, but I just noticed, oh yeah, and then behind that, I think was quite a lot of preference.
Yes, yeah. Fair enough. We all have our preferences, and just good to notice them as you did. And as you point out, there's quite a lot that, in a ways, can be seen with the eyes closed. You know, there's still some visual going on, and we can be aware of that. Yeah. Dharmapala.
Yeah, I was interested in this seeing as opposed to looking. And the seeing, it just happens. But when I was looking at it, there was definitely a reaching out. Was an activity there. And I can sort of see how that would apply in certain things in the day that I would good to see, but then I reach out and I engage with something, whereas I could actually just sit and be aware of it.
Yeah. Did it, that reaching out, did it feel like there was more sort of energy or effort?
It was different. Yeah, there was more effort. There was a sort of unnecessary effort. It's a bit like the hearing a sound but not listening to it, you know. Same sort of dynamic and effort.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. I think, just to say, I think both are sort of natural to the mind, but I think what can cause strain is when we overdo either the active listening and the active looking. It can be a very tiring mode to be in more of the time. So having that option to a default, if you like, if we can sort of almost retrain the mind, the default is to be more sort of have a more breadth, and that from that more relaxed back position, then in a way the mind can work out then when it needs to be more active, it needs to look or to listen. But yeah, it's a much more, it's like being in neutral in a car or something, rather than sort of revving, you know, revving up to go, and actually we don't necessarily need to go, so we can be more sort of at ease and use less energy. And for those observations, everyone. So we're going to finish now. And we'll be back to start at 8. I imagine Vajradevi will be here letting everyone come in a bit before that, but we'll go have the evening session from 8 till 9. And see if you can take awareness with you wherever you go, whatever you're doing. See if you can take awareness along there too. And I shall see you a little bit later.